Studies, Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University, for introducing the theme of webinar with us. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you very much, Rashta. Good evening to all. The chief guest of the program, Honorable Mr. Justice Ashok Kumar Ji, who is the President of the Uttar Pradesh State Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission, Lucknow. Professor Pradeep Kumar Ji, who is the keynote speaker from the Faculty of Law, Banaras Hindu University. Professor Rana Pratap Singh Ji, who is presiding over this program. The colleagues from the Department of Human Rights, School for Legal Studies, I could see all the faculty members here. And as told by the director of the seminar, all the persons who have registered for this webinar, and they are also here, more than 100 I could see here, because this is the limit of this Google Meet. So I wish all the very happy this Consumer Day, International Consumer Day. And when we talk of the consumer protection, as the topic is consumer protection laws, and it speaks about the new trends and the key challenges. So when we talk of the consumer protections or the rights, then it naturally directed towards the seller's duties and responsibilities. And the question then is, does the seller have no responsibilities towards the buyers or the purchaser of the goods? The answer was the doctrine of caveat emptor. Caveat emptor, a Latin phrase that means let the buyer beware. And this doctrine of caveat emptor was an integral part of the Sales of Goods Act. And specifically, the students from law, they must be aware that it is defined in section 16 of the Act that there is no implied warranty or condition as the quality or the fitness for any particular purpose of the goods supplied under the contract of sale. So this was the definition, and the caveat emptor, that was the law, that was the rule which was taking place before the consumer protection laws. So a seller makes his goods available in the open market. The buyer previews all his options and then accordingly makes his choice. So when the product turns out to be defective, either inferior in the quality or in quantity, then this doctrine says that the seller will not be responsible for this because the buyer himself is responsible for the choice which he has made. And the onus or the burden is on the buyer. So the buyer has to perform due diligence before making any purchase. And buyer cannot blame or cannot sue the seller for defective goods or services if the buyer was careless or he was negligent at the time of the purchase. So when we talk about this doctrine of caveat emptor, that was based on the fundamental principle that once a buyer is satisfied with the product's suitability, then he has no subsequent right to reject such project. And this provision also corresponds to the section 14 of the English Sales of Goods Act, that is of 1893, though it was modified in 1979 also. And since then, due to the changes in the marketing system and the social welfare concept, the exceptions to the rule of caveat emptor, they have become more important than the rule itself, like a reasonable examination opportunity or usability test or merchantable quality in the product which the seller is selling. So this was all came into existence, and a great contrast to the caveat emptor doctrine, there was a birth of the doctrine of caveat venditor or caveat vendor, which means let the seller beware, and which directed towards a new consumer protection system or an era of the consumer's rights. And the matter of consumer protection was managed through the regulations in English common law, such as law of torts, law of contract, and the fiduciary laws also. So we know that torts are the civil wrongs, and to establish the different kinds of the torts, various tests were evolved by the English courts. And the complainant could file a suit on the ground of misrepresentation, deceit, negligence, fraud, etc. And the remedy was the compensation, either for monetary, that may be monetary in nature, or there may be replacement of the product. Then second remedy, that was under the law of contract, that was essentially a binding agreement, and that had been entered into only between the two parties or more than two individuals, and that was leading towards the privity of contract fallacy, which led that the duty and reliefs available to each party in case of the breach occurs. And the dissatisfied customer could approach the trial court or for justice in case if there is any wrong committed on the part of the seller, or that he has committed unfair practice. And finally, under the fiduciary laws, the obligations that only emerge in the limited circumstances. So we see that the English law that was also applicable in India prior to the commencement of the enforcement of the Constitution. So we were having these law of contract and law of torts as fiduciary relations when we have to take the remedy in cases of the buyer and purchaser, along with that seller's duty. So when we talk of the protection of the consumer laws, we know that it has a relation with the duty of the manufacturer of a product. And before moving to the consumer protection laws, the very genesis and the origin is the English common law, as I told you, and more specifically, the law of negligence under the law of torts, wherein the existing this duty situation existed. And a duty to take care is essential before a person can be held liable in negligence. And very importantly, every student of law of torts must be aware of the Atkinian formula of 1932, which was delivered by Lord Atkin in Donoghue versus Stevenson, the very famous case. And that is also a very landmark, where the plaintiff purchased a bottle of ginger beer that was manufactured by the defendant, and the plaintiff suffered from some gastroenteritis on consuming a part of that contents of the bottle because it contains some decomposed remains of a snail. And the House of Lords held that the plaintiff's pleading disclosed a relevant cause of action. And in holding so, the court has evolved or recognized a very new duty, and that is the relating to the manufacturing of the products. So when a manufacturer of products, when he sells it, any product in such a form which he desires or which he intends that the product which he is manufacturing is to reach to the ultimate consumer or to the ultimate customer user of that product in such a form that there should be no intermediate examination, or there should not be any intermediate inspection of that good, or there is no reasonable possibility or opportunity to examine in between the product manufacturing and the use of that item, with the knowledge that the absence of reasonable care in the preparation of that particular good or putting up that product will result in the injury to the customer's life or to the property, then that manufacturer owes a duty to the consumer to take a reasonable care. So this Atkinian formula of Donoghue Stevenson that has become a judicial principle, and after that this particular formula was also applied in various cases. There are many cases. I'm not going to take the names of all those cases, but the manufacturer of the article of food, medicine, or the like sold to the to him from the distributor in circumstances which prevent the distributor to have the any examination to the ultimate purchaser, that was coming under the legal duty and towards the ultimate purchaser or the consumer. So this contract of the privity of contract fallacy has been overruled from this particular Donoghue Stevenson, and you see that the article which was supplied is known to be required for the immediate use. The test of liability is in action for the negligence. So that has come into existence. So starting from this snail in ginger beer, then dermatitis caused to the by use of the woolen garments. Privy Council also followed the same. It was in 1936 that this dermatitis caused by using the woolen garments without any intermediate examination before the use. So this Grant Australian Knitting Company Mills case, then improper repair of the motor wheel or lift cases, or very importantly, the chain in or wire in some switch that injured the fingers of the user. So that was all the cases which have been decided by the House of Lords and the courts in appeal and various other courts in England. And we see that Atkinian formula continued to give the remedy to the consumers. Now, when we talk of India, in India, the courts followed this prior to the 1986 Act, that is of the Consumer Protection Act, and that was subject to some other acts also. For example, Drug Controls Act was there, then Magic Remedies was there, which is related to the objectionable advertisements, food adulteration, essential commodities, then at the same time MRTP, this is Monopolies of Restrictive Trade and Practices Act was also there, black marketing, then standard of weights and measures. So many acts were also in existence besides this English principle in India, which were dealing with the rights of the consumers prior to the Consumer Protection Act of 1986. So we see that at international level, this consumer protection rights, they were in existence, particularly for the first time in Denmark in 1947, this came, then in Great Britain also that law has come. And the idea of consumerism that was started in United States somewhere in 1960s and 62. And consumerism, we all must be aware about that. It's a protest of the consumers against the unfair business practices, unfair businesses, and injustices to the consumer, because everybody knows that every person is a consumer from birth till death, or even prior to birth, after the death of that person concerned. So every time is consuming one thing or the other. So every person is consumer before birth and after death even. So this consumerism was an idea which was against the unfair practice and businesses which are leading towards the injustices. And that's why the government had initiated various legislative policies to safeguard the interests of the consumer protection, and guidelines were also given for them under the international influence. Particularly, we can go for the European communities or European unions. They have started to go for the consumer rights and consumer remedies. And National Consumer Protection Council that was established in India, and that started working. Various meetings have been performed by these committees, and they have come up with the Consumer Protection Act of 1986. So various countries were also involved in that. So when we see that the Consumer Protection Act, which was a draft, which was sent by H.K.L. Bhagat, who was the then Minister of the Parliamentary Affairs, Food and Supplies in Government of India, and that act passed in December 1996. So today we are commemorating the International Consumer Day of 15th March. In India, National Consumer Day is also commemorated on 24th December. So that was because of the Act of 1986, but because now we are having the Act of 2019. So 9th August was the date when it was notified, and 20th July is the date when it has been, enforced. So which day we'll be going to commemorate for that? So it's better that we are commemorating the 15th March as the day for the consumers. So different platforms were created by that act, and the act included the monetary compensation as well as the correctional damages. And the Act of 1986 was amended thrice. It was in 1991, 1993, 2002, just to widen the scope of the authority given under the consumer court in terms of the monetary jurisdiction as well as in terms of the services also. You see that the government hospitals or the hospitals having more than 100 beds, those all were included in the area of this Consumer Protection Act, which was not there originally in the Act of 1986. So this all was there. But with the development in science and technology, the digital transformation has profoundly impacted the consumer habits and the ways in which consumers interact with each other. That has also changed the marketplace, the impact on the e-commerce industries, the customers and consumers of those e-commerce industries, their relationship. This all pose the problem to deal with the issues under the old law, and therefore the new ways of selling and consuming the goods and services like online purchase, some macro level marketing, that has brought the drastic change in the manner that the market was functioning. And this all has brought a need for a new law which could encompass all these things so that the remedy may be given to the consumers and the customers. And we see that by the Act of 2019, the existing Consumer Protection Act was totally overhauled. That is 1986 was overhauled and it has been repealed, and new methods have been incorporated, new provisions have been incorporated in the Act of 2019. And on July 20th, as I told you, Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Government of India has enforced this act, and it has, which was notified on August 9th, 2019, and various rules and regulations were also enforced. So the existing mechanism under the Act of 1986 was strengthened, and the fundamental changes in the Consumer Redressal Forum, as Professor Preeti Mishra just told, that it has been brought in the new Act along with the territorial jurisdiction in terms of the pecuniary jurisdiction. The Act has introduced alternative dispute resolution by way of mediation, that is the ADR system. That's a new feature of the Act. And very importantly, the online registration of the complaints, which permits the consumers to file a complaint before the district forum through electronic means. So that was the need, or that was the demand of the time with the science and technological advancement. So this Act of 2019 encompasses all these things in its provisions to make the process very, very easier and less time consuming. And at the same time, we see that this Act has been modernized, modernized the earlier Act, which has been repealed. And the object of both the acts remain the same, that it is to safeguard the rights of the consumer. And this Act of 2019 is giving more extensive provisions regarding the term of the consumer has been enlarged, unfair trade practice, unfair contract, product liability, and it also imposes a larger burden on the manufacturers as opposed to the product sellers. So these are some of the points which we find in the new Consumer Protection Act. It has provided for not only for the e-complaints, but the video conferencing is also allowed. The place of suing is also changed in the particular Act of 2019, that is the related to the residence of the consumer, that has been taken into consideration. And the Act also provides for the consumers that is related to the establishment of some Central Consumer Protection Authority, CCPA. And that is one of the very significant aspect of this Act, which has conferred some investigating powers also on the authority. Food has been added to the definition of goods under the Act. Telecom has been added to the definition of services, so that to bring the telecom services within the ambit of this particular Act. But the real test for this Act would be in the implementation of its provision, because as I told you, it has been enforced from 20th July. So even 1 year has not gone with the implementation of this Act. And we have to see as to how this Act is being implemented and how it is to ensure the modern day consumer, which is talking of the scientific and technological advancement, e-purchase, e-commerce, e-business, everywhere it is electronic system has come into picture. So what challenges and the trends which the consumer faces, particularly during COVID period, we see that this Act has been enforced in the COVID period, and e-business was on its ever high situation. So it becomes very important that whether this COVID period has also enhanced certain problems in the consumer. So these are some of the areas, key challenges which has to be fulfilled and remedied under this Act. Particularly, we know that unprecedented number of the consumer problems have been caused by the COVID-19 pandemic in the area of consumer debt, in the area of the consumers who are seeking for the refund of the cancelled traveling or booking of various tickets and events, etc. Black marketing, hoarding of essential commodities. Everybody must be aware about that. During the pandemic, we have witnessed that disruption in the food supplies, shortage of the consumer goods and supply of essential commodities. And there was interruption in the services of online marketplaces. So all accompanied with a sudden increase in the demand of the some medical and healthcare products such as ventilators, face masks, sanitizers, disinfectant, particularly the items which were required for the persons to protect them from the this corona impact. And taking the cognizance of all the situation, the Supreme Court has also given the order to the government on the petition of Justice for Rights Foundation, so that the action may be taken for the persons who are indulging in hoarding of the black marketing of essential goods, including that face masks and the hand sanitizers. They should be provided to them the fixed price N95 surgical masks, hand sanitizers, liquid soap. So all these things which were not made available, and even to the extent that the Ministry of the Consumer Affairs has to declare these essential these hand sanitizers and the masks as the essential commodities, even that has to be fixed on their MRPs. Then in the digital marketing, another challenge which was there relating to the rampant increase in the scams and frauds, specifically the charity schemes, phishing scams, fraudulent websites, they were all popping up. Because the use of the virtual mode, use of the electronic media, that has been increased during the pandemic time. So that has also brought some challenges for the consumers, how to go about these things. So that was also one of these factors. Then airline sector, you see the persons who have booked their tickets, so the airlines, they were refusing for refund the amount of the tickets if it has been cancelled. So Supreme Court has once again has to come into picture, and this Pravasi Legal Cell and others, Union of India, it has given the direction. Ayush Ministry, you must be aware that Coronil, that was being sold by the Patanjali Ayurveda, that this is having the impact to this cure this corona. So that has also to be stopped by the direction of the court. Then we see the challenges in the face of the adulteration of food substance, then quality of the goods standards, then selling of the products so above the MRP price, poor customer services, sale of spurious goods, adulterated goods, defective goods, substandard goods, so many misleading advertisements. These are all the challenges. And the question is that where the consumer has to go, whether he's aware about all his rights or not. And this is how this webinar has been planned, to give the awareness to the consumers, so that what are their rights, where they have to go, and what they have to do. And in this list of the consumer, another category is also now being coming or added, that is related to the virtual currency. So you may be heard about the virtual currency. Virtual currencies are not the regular money. They are the currencies are like the electronic money, like Bitcoin, XRP, and Dogecoin. So you can buy any the things online, and you can also send them to the other person to use the pay for the goods and services, an area that always comes within the jurisdiction of the consumer law. So as a consumer, what risks you should be aware of, that is also the point. And in this backdrop, this national webinar is being organized to make aware the consumers of their rights, and also to suggest the remedies as to, in case of the violation, where they have to go, what they need to do, and where they should go to seek the remedy. And though there are many things to speak, but giving more and more time to the guest, I'll stop with the quote of Mahatma Gandhi, that is, customers are the most important visitors on our premises. They are not dependent on us. We are dependent on them. They are not an interruption in our work. They are the purpose of it. They are not outsiders in our business. They are the part of it. And we are not doing them a favor by serving them. They are doing a favor by giving us an opportunity to do so, unquote. So on this World Consumer Day, I congratulate one and all with the hope that whatever challenges be there will be tackled under the new legislation to give justice to the consumers. And happy Consumer Rights Day. Rashida very rightly told this year's theme is tackling plastic pollution. That is also going to be a big challenge. So with these words, thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. I think ma'am has already set the tune of webinar.